There is a Roblox badge, so impossibly difficult to obtain, so tremendously challenging that the best players could get it in around 20 billion years. You heard me right, a badge that takes 20 billion years to get. I know, it sounds crazy, but let me break it down for you. This is Doors, a very popular survival horror game on Roblox, known for the plethora of media coverage it received when it first released. Recently, however, the game released an update which, although relatively simple at first, actually introduced an achievement so hard to obtain that it would take thousands of lifetimes to actually get. According to my knowledge, this badge has never been documented before, ever. And although it was likely just added as a silly joke, its existence implies it can actually be theoretically obtained with infinite time. So, in this video, I'll be going over the insane story behind the nil secret badge in Doors, the hardest achievement to obtain in Roblox, ever. Let's begin. Alright, so given how I'm structuring this video so people not familiar with Doors can still understand what's going on, let me explain everything from the beginning. On April 1st, 2025, Doors released a brand new game mode by the name of Ranked Mode. This game mode differed heavily from the normal gameplay players were used to, as instead of a slow-paced, unnerving horror experience, they were instead treated to a fast-paced, competitive race to the top. In Ranked Mode, every action a player performs, whether that be surviving a monster or just accessing the next room, will grant the player a certain number of points, and the goal is to gain the most points out of everyone before the timer runs out. At the end of the round, these points will be taxed, then added to your final point counter, and after accumulating enough points you can progress through the ranks. These ranks are the key to discovering our impossible badge. In Ranked Mode, there are 6 ranks, those being in order: Noob, Starter, Combatant, Soldier, Warrior, and finally Bloxer. Every player starts out as a Noob, and after gaining 5,000 points they'll rank up to a Starter, then Combatant, then Warrior, and so on and so forth. Now, once players reach the Starter rank, they'll obtain a very special badge, the Hardstuck achievement. This achievement is unique as it actually displays on your head what rank you are, so it can actually change its appearance to show how much you have progressed. For example, as soon as you get the badge, it will state Hardstuck Starter as its title, but once you reach the final rank, it will instead say Bloxer and its title, and its icon will change to match that of the rank's appearance. Now, here's the thing I want you to keep note of, as it's very important. Although technically each rank shares this one badge, each variation of the badge that corresponds to the different ranks is thought of as an individual achievement, as they all have different point requirements and difficulties. And because of this, although the Impossible Badge, which is actually one of these variations, isn't actually a completely unique Roblox badge, it can be regarded as a unique achievement. So with that out of the way, what exactly is this impossible achievement? Well, dear viewers, say hello to the Hardstuck Nil achievement. I can guarantee almost none of you have seen or heard of this, as its existence is only viewable in the game files. For some reason, its icon is this random face, so just don't ask about that. Now, traditionally, players will amass points in Ranked Mode and rank up until they become a Bloxer, and display that on their Hardstuck achievement. Yet, what almost nobody knows is that there's actually a rank above Bloxer which is far harder to obtain. In fact, saying that it is far harder to obtain is a massive understatement, as it's so hard to get that it would take some of the best people billions and billions of years of non-stop playing just to get it. However, why is this the case, and how do we know it? Well, to answer those questions, we need to go to the source of this discovery. This achievement was brought to my attention by a user by the name of Tall Cow, and they provided a screenshot of the game's inner workings so we can get a better look at what we are dealing with. This is an image of a script from Doors, specifically a script for the ranks in Ranked Mode. In the middle of the image you can see a long list of all the ranks, with the very last one being titled Nil, the impossible badge I've been talking about. Additionally, at the top of the screenshot it shows all of the point requirements needed for each rank to be obtained, in the order of how the ranks are stated on the list. For example, the first point requirement shown is 5,000, which corresponds to how many points are needed to obtain the starter rank, which is one of the first ranks on the list. You may see where I'm going with this, but the final rank listed, that being the secret nil rank, requires the point value listed at the very end of the line at the top of the image, which is a whopping 1 quintillion points. This means that in order to rank up to it from Bloxer, you need to amass 1 quintillion points in ranked mode, a number so large I don't think any of you can truly grasp its size. We are talking about a 1 followed by 18 zeros. However, the true scale of this colossal point requirement is revealed when we calculate how much time it would actually take to obtain the nil badge. Based on the ranked mode leaderboards, top players were able to obtain 2 million points within 12 days of ranked mode being released. This roughly translates to 1 million points being obtained every 6 days, if we were to continuously grind out this game mode like the top players do. Now, do you want to take a wild guess at how many millions fit into a quintillion? Well, it's a trillion. A trillion packets of 1 million points equals a quintillion points, and given how it takes roughly 6 days to amass 1 million points, then in order to get to a quintillion points, it would take 6 trillion days, or 20 billion years. The Earth is estimated to be consumed by the Sun in 7.5 billion years, so doors won't even exist at all before players are halfway to getting the nil achievement. In fact, the average human life expectancy is 70 as of now, meaning it would take nearly 300 million lifespans to get this achievement, and that is with constant ranked mode playtime every single day. The nil badge is the hardest to obtain on Roblox, not because it's necessarily difficult to get points in ranked mode, it's actually pretty easy, but it's just that such an unfathomable amount of points is required to get it that nobody could realistically do it ever. Now, before I end off this video, there is one other thing I'd like to mention, and that is the legitimacy of this badge's existence. As I'd said, the Hardstick Nil achievement was brought to my attention by Tallcow, and based on the image provided, I am pretty sure this is a real badge. For one, the image IDs of the other badges listed on the script were uploaded by the Doors developers, so those are legitimate as it's very hard to get those assets without actually going into the game files. The nil badge, however, appears to use a random face image from the Roblox toolbox, which I think makes sense, as the achievement likely was never meant to be uncovered, so the developers probably just used a random image they found for it. It is possible Tallcow just added the nil badge and its corresponding information into a script, but they don't seem like the type of person to lie based on our previous interactions, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say that, at least until proven otherwise, this is a real achievement. And given how there doesn't seem to be anything preventing it from not being obtained, players could theoretically get it if they had an infinite amount of time. So, is the nil badge real? Probably. I am not too sure, but based on what we have so far, I'd say it is. And if it is actually real, then it hands down is probably the hardest and most impossible achievement to obtain in all of Roblox. Name me another game that takes 20 billion years just to get one badge. You can't. So, to summarize, in the Doors game files, there's a secret rank with the corresponding Hardstick achievement, called the Nil Badge, that can be obtained for amassing a quintillion points in ranked mode, which would require nearly 20 billion years of gameplay if you are a top player. I still can't get over how its icon is just some random Roblox face, though. Like, of all things, why would it be this? I think the developers just felt like being funny or something, I don't know. Anyways, that was essentially the entire video. Let me know what you think of this achievement in the comments, and thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoy.